and welcome to the 5th episode of Origin Threadcraft, the podcast. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Just a little bit about what this is. This is a podcast predominantly about knitting, a little bit of sewing, crochet, embroidery, really just all things fiber craft. I am Julia, and I am 30 years old, and I live outside of Columbus, Ohio, right here in the Midwest. So I do like to hype up a lot of Midwest makers, but we kind of get into a little bit of all of it here. So welcome. I'm gonna take a little sip of my coffee. We're spoiled today here in Ohio. It's a high of 75 degrees, beautiful sunny weather. Really just the best that you could ask for in June, and coming off of a string of a couple of really hot days, it's really welcome. So I just kind of want to be outside as much as possible today, so I figured might as well record out here. So if you can hear some wind or some birds, hopefully no lawnmowers, hopefully the sound is good enough and we can enjoy this nice weather together. And if you've got a cup of something, go ahead and grab it, and we'll kind of get into the content. Real quick before we do, my mug. This is from a potter that I have talked about on here before. Her name is Hoshpots. Well, her actual name's Heidi, but her business is called Hoshpots. And she is a local potter outside of the Dayton area. Totally self-taught, really interesting collections that she puts out, and I own 2 of her pieces, and this one's my favorite because it has little fiber eaters all over it, little like moths. So I like to joke that this is the only moths allowed near my sweaters. So take another sip and then we'll get right into it. Okay, first things first, I am obviously wearing a finished object, and this has been a little bit of a journey. So if you've watched any of my other episodes, well, first off, the name of it. This is the sweater that needs no introduction. It's the Soldotna by Caitlin Hunter of Boylan Knitworks, and it is a cropped kind of t-shirt summery sweater with a all-over yoke design and just all-over color work. And this was one of my goal sweaters for the year. It was on my Make 9, and I did struggle a little bit with picking the right colors for it, and I could not be happier with the way that it's turned out. I'm totally obsessed with this sweater. I'm gonna get so much wear out of it. I've been calling it my watermelon sweater because I feel like with the green on the edges and this kind of like speckle print in the body of the sweater, it just reminds me of watermelon, so it's the perfect summer fit. And I can't recommend the pattern enough. I think it's really, really well written. It's quick. It's a great like way to dive into color work and kind of use up if you only have like one skein of everything, because it colors for 4 different colors of DK weight yarn, but it's pretty much one skein of each color will make the sweater, or 2 maximum, I mean, depending on what size you're making. So it's a great like stash buster. I knit the size 3, the medium size 3, and I did use a mixture of DK and fingering. If you saw the episode where I tore this down after having completed like the whole yoke twice, my color choices were just not really working out for it. So I ended up using 2 DKs and then 2 fingering weights held double to kind of get my ideal colors. I think I have the label, yeah. So for most of the sweater and my intention for the sweater, I used Woolberry Fiber Co on her Posh DK base. Woolberry Fiber Co is a dyer that I talk about a lot on this podcast. She is semi-local to me. She's based out of the Cincinnati area down in southern Ohio, and I just think her yarn is phenomenal. She does really, really like approachable everyday use colors, and I just think I pretty much love every yarn that I've gotten from her. So for this one, the 2 main colors on the body, the green and the pink, are actual DK because I bought those with the intention of making this sweater, and they are the Misha and the Pink Canyon colors respectively. I think both are still available on her website. It's from a previous collection from her, but I think she still has both in stock. And then the two other contrast colors, which are actually her squishy sock base, so it's an 80-20 fingering weight, is the copper, and then this kind of like light variegated color in the background is the Red Rock Canyon. So I'll show you what those are. This is the Red Rock Canyon. It's kind of like a multi-colored speckle variegated deal. And then this kind of tonal copper orange color. And I held those double to mimic the weight of the DK. And I think it worked really well. You honestly, since it's been blocked, you really can't tell, especially since those are just kind of like contrast background colors. They're not the main colors. And I was able to use up some leftover yarn that I had from when I knit my Zweig. So if you've seen previous episodes, you might remember that sweater. If not, I can put it up in the corner so you can see that these were my main colors that I used in that sweater. And I had a bunch left over because I'm still getting used to garment knitting and knowing like how much yarn to order. So I do tend to have a lot left over, which isn't necessarily a problem because I've gotten good use out of it. And I was able to create this colorway from that stash, and I still have quite a bit. I have 2 balls of the copper basically and almost a full skein of this. So I think I'm gonna make a pair of socks with that since it is a sock base. It does have nylon content. And who knows, maybe even part of another garment. I mean, it's always nice to have yarn left over that can go into something else. But I just love the result. I'm obsessed. I'm probably gonna knit another one of these in a slightly different color palette now that I know what a quick knit it is, and now that I've kind of got my like gauge and fit dialed in. It is a cropped fit, so it does hit kind of like right at the top of like my natural waist, so it's great for high-waisted jeans or over dresses. I did have enough of the green color that I probably could have done a few more rows, maybe 2 or 3 more rows, but overall I'm really happy with the fit, and I'm pleased at like how it used up yarn that I already had on hand. So that is the Soldotna. Alrighty, my next finished object is this market bag, and this is the Pike Place market bag, designed by Bluebird Pine Shop, and I love it. I've been wanting one of these kind of like French market bags for many years, but I just never found one that was like in my price range that I really liked the size of, felt like it was durable enough to like actually carry things from the market. So when I saw this pattern, I knew immediately that I wanted to make it, and I made a top earlier this year with this 24/7 cotton worsted weight, not the DK, they also have a DK, from Lion Brand yarn, and I had some yarn left over from it, so I figured this would be perfect to make the market bag. And the Lion Brand 24/7 cotton I think is a pretty ideal fiber for this, because it's not applied construction the way that a lot of cotton yarns are. It's actually, I wonder if you can see it if I hold up. You might be able to see it. It's actually kind of a chainette construction, so it's really strong and really durable. And the way that this bag is constructed, which I highly recommend this pattern, it is by Bluebird Pine Shop. I will link it below if you're interested in a market bag, but the construction of this I thought was like uniquely genius to make sure that it actually had strength to be able to carry a good amount of stuff. And it expands a lot. I mean, I don't know if you can really tell, I should have put some like oranges in it or something, but you can definitely put like a solid haul in this bag. So I will definitely make more of these. I did, it took me a second to kind of get a handle on the lace pattern, and I made some silly mistakes and had to like tear it back, so it took me about a day and a half, but I think my second one I'll probably be able to do in a matter of hours, because it's really not that bad overall. It just took some getting used to. But I really am happy with the result, and I would recommend this pattern. I definitely will knit it again. And the Lion Brand 24/7 cotton is really a very affordable yarn. I think it's retails at like $6.50, and Lion Brand and Joann Fabrics are always running sales. So I know right now Lion Brand has like a 40% off sale for the 24/7 cotton, so it works out to like $3.20 a ball, and you need a full one and like a little bit of a second ball. So I think if you bought 3, you could get 2 bags easy, maybe even 3 bags, but definitely 2 easy. And yeah, they're great. I started this Friday night with the hopes of being able to take it to the farmer's market on Saturday, which was just like a little bit of an egregious goal. Like I said, I did have to tear it down a little bit, but I finished it yesterday, which was Sunday. So a day and a half, 2 days till completion. Very quick knit, great gift knit, great for like summer markets if you're a person who sells knitwear, especially since the cost of the yarn is not too bad. It's a little laborious, so your hourly wage, you'd probably have to work on your speed a little bit, but it's a great pattern. I highly recommend it. And I will definitely make more / am making more. Alrighty, and then I have one other finished object, which if you saw my last episode, you saw a sneak peek of this when it was on the needles. But it is all finished and blocked and magnificent. So let me give you kind of a color tour, if you will. It is brioche, so both sides are different, and I love them both equally, and I think it looks phenomenal, all coiled up on itself in shawl mode. Hopefully this camera and this lighting, you're able to get like a little bit of a sense of the color. Show you the other side here too. This pattern is the Brioche Adventure shawl. It is a pattern by Jonathan Tallow of Made by Tallow Designs on Instagram and Ravelry. And it is a great beginner brioche project. I love it. I hope you can see how it like kind of fades to blue and green and gray out from the center here. Anyway, great beginner brioche project, because you can kind of choose your own adventure on the way that you cycle through the colors. It's ideal for mini skeins, advent calendars, anything that you only have stash busting, you know, scraps, anything that you only have a little bit of. You can just cycle through the colors. I did do my stripes a little bit wider just to get the most out of my mini skeins, but you can see that it's these blocks of brioche interspersed with garter. So it's really great as a beginner project, because if you're not super confident fixing your brioche mistakes and you're stubborn like me and don't like to use lifelines, you kind of get the garter breaks in between. So if you do have to rip back, you can easily rip back to a garter section and get it back on your needles without having to like cry and panic. And I just really love it. I mean, it's huge, it's so squishy. I will wear it constantly this winter. It's kind of a power clash with the sweater underneath, but you get the idea. I think I will definitely get a lot of everyday use out of this. The yarn that I used, also Macmillan Fiber Co. I bought it at the same time that I bought the copper and the Red Rock Cannon, and it is her copper collection mega mini skein set. So I want to say it's 12 colors in total, each 20 grams of her squishy sock base, so 80/20 merino nylon, and which will make this really durable, really washable too, which is nice. So I think I can definitely see this being kind of an everyday use piece in the fall and winter. And then I did use a little bit of just the extra Red Rock Cannon that I had to kind of get some more length on it on the edges, and kind of tie all the colors together, since it does kind of fade from these warm tones to cool tones. I just used that extra variegated that I had to kind of tie it all together. So that's the third project that particular yarn has shown up in, and I only bought 2 skeins of it. So she has a lot of yardage on her skeins, and I'm really happy that I've gotten really good use of that yarn and still have a lot left to make it into something else. So that's kind of like my next major finished object, and I will link that below. If you have not done brioche before, don't be intimidated by it. It's not that difficult. It's just a different rhythm, it's a different mindset, but really anyone can do it. It's not that complicated. And YouTube has a lot of great tutorials for it. I know when I was first learning, I really relied on Stephen West's tutorials. I think his particular brioche ones are really good. And then I am lucky enough to have access to the Knit Collage video vault as part of their spring make along, which I'll talk about a little bit later when we get into whips. And they had really good brioche tutorials from Caitlin from Caddy Jack's Knits, and Jackie Rose from Caddy Jack's Knits taught a brioche class. And even though I was not knitting the brioche style, I had access to the tutorial videos, and I found those really helpful for learning how to like fix your mistakes. So that's something that you do have to join the Knit Collage Make Along or be part of the Creative Knitters group, which I'll link below if that's something that you're interested in, if it's in your budget. But the video vault that's available to you in those is actually really helpful, and I do recommend it if that's something that you see yourself being interested in. And like I said, we'll talk a little bit more about the make along here in whips, but that's my other finished object. Oh, and I actually have two more, sorry. I've been knitting a lot lately. Okay, so I think I've talked about this before on the podcast, but if you don't know, in the fall and the winter, I also sell my finished knitwear, pretty much just hats, some other little accessories, you know, like ear warmers, yeah, accessory stuff at market booths and online on my own website and Etsy. So I've kind of started building up my inventory for fall. I took a little bit of a break in May because I was just mainly working on like selfish for me projects, but I've kind of started to intersperse my big project goals with like making some inventory for the fall. And I did just want to show off this new hat pattern because I really like this one, and I thought you guys might want to knit it too. So this is called the Painted Lady Beanie, and it is a pattern by Jill of Yarn It All. It's available on Ravelry and on her own personal website. I'll link both below. And I've got two versions here, kind of a pink and a blue one, and I just love this motif. It almost looks like a Celtic knot or a braid, and it's really simple. It did up pretty quick. I would say it probably took me about 2 hours. And it's written for a few different weights, which is nice. So these are both knit in Malabrigo Mecha, which is a light, bulky, light, chunky single ply. And the two colors that I used are some of their newer colors. So this is from their Women on Screen collection. And this one right here, the blue tones, is Hannah. And this kind of pinky orange one is the color Phoebe. And I really have been impressed with that new color drop from them. You have to kind of look to find it. Like, not everyone has access to it. It's not on every website, but I personally get a lot of my Malabrigo Mecha from a woman named Jamie at Life's Little Things shop. And I will link her below. She's a maker out in Colorado, and she is a phenomenal resource for not only Malabrigo, but Manos del Uruguay, a lot of like indie dyed stuff. And I get a lot of the yarn that I use for my hats from her. And she's an excellent loyalty program where if you place multiple orders from her, you get like loyalty points and earn coupon codes and stuff. And she's just really nice and always has a beautiful selection. So I highly recommend both that pattern and this yarn, and I will link both below. Alrighty. Alright, that is it for the finished objects portion, and I guess we will go right into whips. So first off, I started this yesterday after I finished my other Pike Place Market bag, but it's just another one, and I only started this last night, so I'll probably have it finished even by the end of the day today. I'm just kind of trying to see how fast I can knit it now that I have the pattern memorized and I'm not making like silly little mistakes. And that is again with the Lion Brand 24/7 cotton, and it's a great, like, I don't know, potato chip knit. Like, you can just kind of zone out after you get the 4-row repeat memorized and just go. So I do think I might end up selling these at markets in the fall too, if I can get a good turnaround time on them, because I think that that is something that people might be interested in. So that's my first work in progress. And then my next work in progress is one that, if you've seen the podcast before, you might have seen. It is the Curio sock by Drea Renee Knits. Here's the one that I've actually completed. And I've been so close to finishing these for so many weeks now, and I just haven't really had a lot of sock knitting mojo. I was really excited about this sweater. I blew through this in like 2 weeks. And I've just been working on other stuff, but I am so close to being done. As you can see, this is the one that I'm still working on, and I am on the heel. So it is an afterthought heel. I've picked up the stitches for it. I'm ready to do it. I'm hoping to finish it later today. And then that will be my first pair of socks completed. It's a really interesting pattern. It has these kind of like saddle straps down the side, and then alternating stripes. I did the version that's like reverse stockinette, so the garter bumps are the main side. She also has a version where it's full stockinette, that's the main side, but you knit it inside out, and like little slip stitch textures are what create that design. So again, that's a pattern. It's the Curio sock by Drea Renee Knits, Andrea Mowry, and it was part of her sock knit challenge this November. And it is a really cool pattern. I totally recommend it. I don't know why I haven't finished it yet. I think I've just been kind of excited about other things. So hopefully by the end of the day, next episode, I'll have finished socks. And then I do have one more work in progress, which is kind of a big one, and I'll show it to you and talk about them. So like I mentioned earlier, I am participating in the Knit Collage Spring Make-Along, which is now technically over, but still kind of going on. And if you don't know, if you're not familiar with Knit Collage, she is an art yarn company that's predominantly hand-spun art yarn made in India. Sorry, I just need to sip my coffee. Oh, I think I might have swallowed a bug. I guess that's the perils of recording outside. Anyway, she's an art yarn company. She's based out of Boston, but the yarn is hand spun by a group of women in India, and it's just really interesting, creative yarn. Like, there's a lot of like handmade trims and like daisies and hand crocheted flowers and stuff that are spun into it. And just really interesting stuff. And she does just these crazy sweater designs that, I mean, they're just wearable art. They're really cool. And I've been wanting to knit one for a really long time, but her yarn is, whew, it is pricey. So I've been kind of just lusting after it. But she does these things in the fall and spring called make-alongs, and she'll release kits for certain designs, and you get to vote ahead of time like what you want to be part of the make-along, and she goes by popular vote for what will be included. And then when you join, you buy the kit, which comes with access to the make-along, and then you also get all of the patterns. So even if it's not the design that you're making, it's not the kit that you chose, like, you get access to all of the designs forever, which I think is really cool. And it's really great if you're like new to knitting, or in this case, this project includes crochet, because you get access to a teachable course with both an intro to knitting and an intro to crochet, and then a specific video course for each of the designs. So if you're a person who's a really visual learner, or kind of just like needs your hand held through certain skill sets, you have access to the teachable classes for each of the designs in addition to the patterns, so you can do both. And then you can also sign up for help sessions weekly. I didn't end up signing up for any help sessions because I've been crocheting for a long time, even though it's not my main thing. I just didn't really need to take up that space. But if you do need to take up that space, or if you're like working on one of the more complicated designs, like they have this crazy kind of brioche fitted sweater, which I could totally see someone needing a help session for, that's open to you. And then they also have like weekly Zoom meetings. Sometimes it's just you're just hanging out talking about the project. Other times she'll have like a guest speaker. Amy Small, who's the owner of Collage, she is a registered yoga teacher. So some of the sessions she would teach restorative yoga, or she would have her yoga teacher actually lead that. Mindfulness sessions, tutorial classes, like all sorts of cool stuff included in it. And then, like I said, whether you finish your project during the make along or not, you have access to the teachable bundle forever. So you can go back and get another style if you want. She also has a virtual option for it. So if you have a lot of stash yarn, or if just like the knit collage yarn is just not in the budget, you can join the virtual option and get access to the patterns and access to all the like community building stuff. And there's a private Facebook group where everyone can like share their questions or share their progress and have access to the knit collage teachers for feedback and stuff. So it's a really cool idea. And I did end up joining this spring, and I am in progress on making the Corinne cardie. This is the little card that came with the make along kit, but that is the cardigan that I am making, and it's this great like cropped granny square, super retro bohemian fit, and I'm really excited about it. I just haven't finished it yet because I've never steam blocked anything before, and you're supposed to steam block each of the squares individually, and I've just been putting it off. I've had my squares done. It's an 8-week make along, and I've had my squares done since I think week 2. And I just haven't finished the sweater, but I'll show you the squares. So the yarn for this particular one, is a mixture of merino wool blue clay, this is one of my squares, and this is the merino wool blue clay, which I did not bring out here with me. But it's a mixture of that, and then wildflower yarn, which is actually like a tape yarn. And this is all screen printed cotton fabric that's screen printed on like these massive, I don't know, it's like a mile long fabric, and it's cut into individual strips and then tied together, and they're all super different. And when you get the yarn, you get like a mini skein kit, so with a bunch of different colors, and then one big skein of a main color, which you're supposed to use for the cuffs. I mean, supposed to, you can do whatever you want, but I plan to use that for the cuffs. And then the white kind of borders everything. So I have a lot of these little granny squares all ready to go. That'll kind of give you an idea for how many different colors are in this sweater. I mean, it's definitely like a kitchen sink sweater, kind of patchwork design. And it's, I believe, 8 on the back and then 4 on each side of the front panel. So I've got all my squares ready to go, and I literally just need to steam block them and sew them together, and then you actually knit the sleeves on it. And I'm really excited about it. Now that I'm looking at them all, I'm like fully excited about it again, and I might get the steamer out later and just try my best. I just need to stop overthinking it, because it's literally not a big deal to steam block something, and it will be fine. I just need to do it. But yeah, that's the spring make along. I highly recommend it. I'll be interested to see what pattern she has for the fall. I don't know if I can do 2 in 1 year, but we'll see how the markets go this year, and maybe we'll see. But that's my other big whip. Okay, that is it for works in progress. I am gonna go into a little bit of stash acquisitions. So if that is your thing, awesome. Stick around, I've got some fun stuff to show you. And if not, thank you for stopping by, and I will see you next time. So my first stash acquisition, which I mentioned last time, was that I actually won a $100 gift card to Sorella's Knitflix collection release. It was an Instagram giveaway, and I'm not a lucky person. I'm not an unlucky person, but I don't historically win games of random chance. I've won things based on merit before, or like based on completing something, like if you put in the hours, you win it, but I very, very rarely win gifts of random chance. So this was super exciting. And it was back in, I want to say March. It might have even been February. I think it was end of February. but it was a totally random giveaway on Instagram, $100 to use at her Knitflix collection release. And if you're familiar with Sorella's yarns, they are absolutely stunning, and they're kind of difficult to come by. Like, she only does a 24-hour window, and then that collection is done for. So it was really exciting to get to be a part of that, and I got some really pretty ones to show you. So first off is this one, which is kind of a pink and orange and purple, super bright, super vibrant, almost neon speckled. And I got the same base for all of them, which is her classic sock 100% merino wool base, just because that's kind of my favorite for like shawls and garments. And yeah, I just went with that for all the bases because I had a few different projects that work with fingering weight. It's one of my favorite weights to work with, so that's what I went with. And it's 400 yards per skein, so pretty generous. And this is not a color palette that I would traditionally be drawn to, but the Tunisian swatch for this was really, really stunning. And this is called Millennial, if I didn't already say that. It's based on the show Younger. Have you seen that? It's a fun one. And anyway, she was working up a Tunisian sample for TL Yarn Craft's Party Punch shawl, which is a one skein wonder, only requires one skein, and I thought it looked really pretty in this particular colorway, so I got one of those to make that shawl with, and hopefully we'll do that later this summer. It's a really fun summery color, so I'm excited about that. And then this next one is also super, super bright and kind of outside of my usual comfort zone. And this is the Casita colorway. And that, I guess, is based on the movie Encanto, which I have not seen. I haven't seen a lot of the newer Disney movies because I'm the youngest child in my family and I don't have kids yet. But I've heard really good things about it, and this is just, I just love this color. I just thought it was so fun. And I don't really know what I'm gonna do with it yet, but I think I've been kind of mulling over a Ripple bralette by Jessie Maid. If you're familiar with that, it's like a knitted tank pattern, and I think it would be really fun in something like crazy, bright, and summery like this. I think it would just make a fun undergarment, so I think I might do that. And then the third one that I chose, I actually got 2 skeins of because I was really excited about it, and this is Mrs. Patmore's Kitchen. So this is based on Downton Abbey, if you're familiar, and I just love it. It's this really like muted mauve color on the base with speckles of like purple and caramel and a little bit of blue, and I just think it's great. That's her little label. It's so cute. And I'm really excited about this because I'm planning to use it in a shawl, which I think will be part of my Make Night next year. And it's the Brioche Adventure shawl by Andrea Mowry, and I'm thinking, if you're familiar with that pattern, I'll put a photo up. There's this kind of like neutral white background, and I think I'll use this for that. And then the contrasting colors will be kind of lavender and deep plum, and then like caramel and light brown. So at least that's what I'm envisioning right now. We'll see how it goes, but I really was super excited about that. And then I went to Joann Fabrics yesterday and got some buttons to finally finish up my leaf tank top. So if you're familiar, I showed this in the last episode, but this is one panel of the leaf top by the Knit Stitch. And I think the buttons I'm gonna end up going, originally I was planning to do shell buttons, which I did get some. These are like, you know, just the iridescent kind of shell buttons. And I did get some because they had a really good price on them. It was like 50 buttons, or I want to say like $2.99. Obviously I had a coupon because it's Joann's. Who goes to Joann Fabrics and doesn't have a coupon? But I was also totally like knit-influenced by, knit-fluenced? Is that a term? I don't know. I was influenced by Casey of Young Folk Knits, because she just knit the same top recently in a very similar color, and she put wooden buttons on hers, and I was like, ooh, I really like that with the wooden buttons. So I got these too, and I think this is actually what I'm gonna end up going with for this particular top. I think I'm gonna do a sage green one with the shell buttons, but I think this with the cream, I think that's gonna be a good call, and it just fits perfectly in the buttonhole, which, you know, is important. So got some buttons for that. And then this is really exciting. So if you're familiar with Woolberry Fiber Co, she is a dyer based in Colorado, and she's an indie dyer. And I feel like her yarn is so cutthroat to get. So I've never gotten to use it before. I've been following her on Instagram for a while. And she dyes beautiful, beautiful colorways. And I've been like kind of lusting after her yarn for a long time. And so back this March, she did a pre-order for her Downton Abbey collection. And she kept it open for 24 hours with no cutoff. So there was no like cart jacking, there was no, oh, you have to be there right at the time when it opens or you're not getting any yarn. She kept it open for a full 24 hours, which I thought was really exciting. And I was actually able to get some. But because she kept it open for a full 24 hours, she got a ton of orders. She never says how many, she's not competitive like that, but I suspect it was quite a bit because it just came, last week. So I ordered this in March and it came last week. It's mid-June, but it was so worth the wait and I can't wait to show you. First of all, can we just appreciate the box that it comes in? We're happy to see you too. How cute is that? And this tissue paper. I mean, she's crushing it. That's excellent tissue paper. I highly recommend. Anyway, this yarn is so pretty. So I'll just show you in the box and then we'll go into it. So first off, and I got everything on the same base yet again. It is the Berry Merino, which is 100% superwash merino wool. And I got this green color. So this color is called I'm Political, and it's Downton Abbey themed. So this one is Tom Branson's color, the like saucy Irishman, his colorway. And I got 4 skeins of it. So this is a sweater's quantity, and this is set to become, I have to look at the name of it. The Ponderosa sweater by Wool and Pine Designs, which I'll put a photo up there to the side and you can kind of envision it in this colorway. I think it'll be phenomenal. And then it should take 3 skeins and like a bit, like maybe just 3, but 3 skeins and a bit. And then I got these 3 to use with the rest of the green in another Andrea Mowry shawl pattern called the Baubles shawl. So this blue with the caramel speckles is You're My Ticket, which is Sybil's colorway. So she's one of the sisters, Tom's wife. And then this violet color is Don't Explain, which I think this is the Dowager Countess's color. Don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure. So these 3 are gonna be the colors for the Andrea Mowry's Baubles shawl, which I'm really excited about. I think that'll be so cool. And it's so soft. I wish you could feel how soft it is. This was 100% worth the wait, and it's just, I mean, look at the speckles on this. It's just beautiful in person. I love it. I'm so excited about it. So yeah, that was a big stash position that I've been waiting for a very long time. It was very exciting. I actually have a couple of pre-orders out there in the universe. I have 2 others that I'm waiting on. One of them's from like February. So that'll be exciting to show you later this summer. It's nice when you are kind of market based, because in the winter I have a little bit more yarn money because I'm selling my stuff at markets, and in the summer I have like 0 yarn money because nobody wants to buy a wool hat when it's 85 degrees out, 95 degrees out as it's been this week. But because of pre-orders, I'm still getting yarn, so it's almost like I have yarn money. It's fun. Anyway, so thanks for indulging me on that. I hope that was entertaining for you and you found some new dyers to check out. Oh, and then I have one more stash position, which is not to do with knitting related at all. Well, semi to do with it. But so, preface, I am part of the Literature Society with Woolberry Fiber Co, which is a quarterly yarn club that is based on a book. It's literature based, and July's book is The Tenant of Wildfeld Howell by Anne Bronte. And I went to Half Price Books to get a copy, and they had this beautiful copy of the Chittern Classic version for like $7.99 because it's Half Price Books. And I was just like, oh my gosh, how beautiful. So I am like a third of the way through, and I read a lot of different things at the same time. So this is just kind of my leisure novel that I've been reading, and I'm loving it so far. It's a great, like, gothic mystery love story, classic Bronte sisters situation, and I've really been enjoying it so far. So yeah, I recommend that. I recommend the Literature Society. I think she's already closed off for July, but she should have another round opening up in October. And I think the book is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. Check out her website. But it's a fun thing to be a part of if you're interested in books and yarn. So yeah, that is everything. This is a long episode, I know. There's just been a lot going on in the last month. I've been knitting up a storm and finishing all sorts of stuff, so hopefully you have too. And hopefully it'll be less time before I get to record an episode again, and I'll actually have finished a pair of socks. So yeah, thanks for hanging out. I hope life is good. We've just been kind of slowly taking on summer here. We've been doing some gardening, waiting for tomatoes to ripen, and just, you know, taking it all in. So thanks for stopping by, and you have a great day. I'll see you next time.